Hey, Adam Case here with Bright Coconut and the website WOD. First off, we gotta give a little love to Melissa and Dallas of Whole 9 because they just got hitched last week. So congratulations, you guys, and hope you're having a great honeymoon. I don't want details. We're taking a break from the recent content building slew of website WODs to do a little public service announcement. Designers have sort of a running joke about the 15-year-old neighbor kid who says, "Hey man, I'll do your site for cheap." Because the problem is the work ends up taking forever and it comes out like crap. Well, it's not really a joke, really. The problem is a dangerous situation like that isn't always as easy to spot as a snot-nosed kid with no sense of responsibility. I've had a few clients and friends who've gone with somebody that they thought would do the work for them for cheap. Typically it's a friend of a friend deal or a, hey, I know this guy who does that kind of stuff. It ends up costing them a lot more because the work the other person does for them is terrible and takes forever. And they oftentimes have to hire me to come in and fix all the mistakes that the other designer made. So all I can say is, you get what you pay for, people. Case in point, client of mine, we'll call him Bob, had me doing a little customization work for them. Next thing you know, a friend of a friend knows this guy who says, hey, I'll do some work for you for totally on the cheap, like half of what this other guy's charging you. So Bob comes to me and says, hey, does this sound like a good deal? I say, hey man, it's totally up to you, but... So Bob ends up going with this other designer. Ends up costing him over $700, and the other guy didn't do squat. He put a bunch of junk on there the person didn't want. He switched their hosting away from where it was, an account that we had just set up about a week before. He ended up locking Bob out of the site at one point. The $300 that they said they would do the work for ended up stretching into $700. It was not a good situation. So after everything fell apart with this friend, Bob ends up coming back to me and saying, hey, can you fix this and get me back on track? Of course, which ends up costing like another $200 just to undo all the stuff that this other guy messed up. And then on top of that, I then have to do the work that this friend was supposed to do. And in the process of this whole thing, they ended up wasting over 2 weeks of time. So the thing is, how do you know? How do you know if the kid down the street is worth his salt or is just going to be a big ripoff? Well, it's not always obvious, but here are some things to look for. Does the guy even have a portfolio? Have they been doing this kind of work for a while? Or is it a hobby? If it's a hobby, be careful. Do they work with your kind of people? Are they in your niche? Or do they usually do other kinds of work? Most of the time, having a specialist is a really good idea. How does this person communicate? Do they get back to you on time? Are they up on the work you're asking them to do? Or do they disappear for stretches of time? Referrals and testimonials can be really important, but be careful because the friend who's referring you, did the person actually do work for them or do they just know the guy? Big difference. The bottom line, price doesn't always rule. Trust does.